You're listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Þú ert að hlusta á heilan á loftinu. Áætlunin mun byrja fljótlega.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I'm your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And according to recent news, D4Vid, I think it is, wants a haircut and fresh clothes before his court hearing. The one over murdering the 14-year-old girl that he also may have impregnated. Why not? Aren't we a civilized people? If he does not show up in a great outfit at this point, I'm going to be disappointed. I need maybe like a Supreme hoodie. I think he needs to be showing up like he's ready for the Grammys. Sparkles. I want princely attire. Folks, I've got my eye on this trial just like you. And signs, compasses, all other navigation devices are pointing towards an innocent verdict. I don't know about anybody else, but the young black male misunderstood and it's still all good argument, or as some are calling it, the OJ Part 2 situation, is likely to occur, at least in my point of view. I don't know. I'm not sure. The energy around this case, the months that it took for them to do anything really to ensure that he didn't even leave the States. They didn't even arrest him preemptively. I understand maybe people will go, it took them a while to get evidence together. You had a car registered to the man with a chopped up little girl inside. I don't know what more you could need. It's 1995 again, October 3rd. We're going to be all tuned in and we're going to watch we find the defendant Orenthal, David Simpson, not guilty on all counts. I'm really worried, guys. I mean, listen, when we hear about he might have been holding another girl hostage in another mansion or something like that. If nobody has heard about this, Gideon, this streamer, he interviewed a detective who is on the David case. This person's going to break it down for us. Go ahead.
So Gideon just interviewed the lead detective on David's case, and it turns out that he was, in fact, fucking with way more young girls than just Celeste. David was renting out two mansions in very close proximity to each other. One where he was keeping Celeste, who was kidnapped, and one where he was keeping another girl who was 16 years of age at the time. That girl thankfully survived with probably gobs of hush money on her. And I'll roll you guys this clip, but the detective also confirms that there was literally emails sent to David's management by the school Celeste went to saying, hey, we think David might be involved in Celeste's disappearance. Can she come back? And she popped up in school the next day. Like, this guy is so evil. Here's the clips, guys. Let us know your thoughts. Please just let it go. There's no way to say he's innocent anymore. He's just not a good human. He's the devil.
But it was no secret that she was with him. In fact, the school where she was going wrote his management by email and said, paraphrasing it, there's a rumor that David might be involved in the disappearance of 13-year-old, Celeste Hernandez. If that's true, please make sure she gets home quickly. And she got home. She arrived the next day. And that email was received by his management company, and they did send it to him. I have proof of that. This is not the only girl he was involved with. It was underage. He's got Celeste at the old house, one where they did that live stream, and he's got another minor at the new house.
Another minor at a new house. Well, folks, listen, I know that it generally... Listen, we are going to look at this and we're going to go, it's obvious. A lot of jury members are what we would like to term as mentally disabled, or they are really, really swayed by public opinion. Now, granted, some people are getting their tires slashed when they are on a jury. Some people are definitely getting intimidated, you know what I mean, if people figure out who is sitting on the jury. This is what the mafia used to do. They used to have their cronies sit in the court, and then while they used to read out, what neighborhood are you from? All that sort of stuff. They would just have their guys sit and they would write you wouldn't know what they were writing, but they would just be writing down little details and they'd just stare at you. And that was all they needed in order to convince people with no words, no physical intimidation, just, hey, you don't want to fuck with us, go ahead and throw the case out of court. I am worried. I can't prove that he's connected to anybody, but it's LA, you know what I mean? If he is connected to a very Pulp Fiction-y style crew of men in suits, I wouldn't be very surprised, is all I'm going to say.
The singer known as David is headed back to court tomorrow, and his attorneys have asked the judge to allow him to look his best.
Hell yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michael Brown.
He's got to be looking handsome.
In for Colleen. David is accused of murdering 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez and leaving her body in the trunk of his car. Investigative reporter Eric Leonard has been tracking this case from the beginning, and he joins us now with the latest developments. Eric.
The singer's defense lawyers have now filed some formal requests with the court for a haircut and fresh clothes, which are things that are usually dealt with much more informally with the judge. So there's a brief hearing set for tomorrow, and David may hear about the evidence against him sooner rather than later, as his defense team continues to push for an accelerated court schedule. David, whose legal name is David Burke, seen here in sketches and some video from court last week, will get a haircut before a hearing that's now set for Friday. The judge approved it. The judge denied his lawyer's other request that he wear dress pants and a button-down shirt when he appears at a preliminary hearing. That means we'll probably see him next in jail clothes.
He wants to look nice and cute, but I'm just going to let him know that that is not a great method. You don't want to Eric Menendez or the Menendez brothers yourself, because they ended up looking too cute, and instantly, if you get placed in with the violent offenders, you don't want... Listen, I'm just telling you, I got a guy here who's going to describe... he's going to describe exactly what they're going to be doing to David after he gets convicted for 10 years.
Guys in his cell cut him from the top of his anus until his balls, and then fucked him.
Yep. I mean, how else do you see it going for him, ladies and gentlemen? You know what? Forget him. We're leaving David in the past. We'll address him once we see him all pimped out, looking nice and cute for his trial. We'll cover that as it happens, but we have new details on actual FBI raids of daycares in Minnesota. Listen, I've been pushing for this for months. I'm so happy. Listen, I understand that they have been giving they've taken the delay period to give all the criminals a chance to grab all the money and run. I know that there's not going to be a chance of any actual justice here. Listen, exactly. But it's still kind of nice to see them, wrangling up the last remnants of whatever they could at these daycares. They're like, fine, we'll actually enforce the law as is described by our employment doctrine. Listen, 20 childcare and autism centers, as far as we know so far, have been a part of this massive investigation into a $1 billion fraud scheme. Many people have argued that it hasn't even existed. Many people have gone, you're actually racist if you even worry about fraud in general. In a series of high-profile raids involving the FBI Homeland Security armed teams, reportedly some using battering rams. I love it. Targeting businesses in the Minneapolis area. While no arrests were made, agents were seen moving truckloads of portable file cases, digital evidence from facilities like the Quality Leering Center and Baby Halimo Childcare, which have recently been at the center of a national firestorm over alleged misuse of taxpayer funds. Alleged, as we have to say, according to many articles. It's still all alleged, ladies and gentlemen. And it has nothing to do with race. And if you ever mention the 89% of the people who make up the crime statistics, you're actually the racist and you're evil. And you're evil. You're evil. And if you worry about immigration and to any meaningful extent, you're evil. And you stop asking questions, you're racist. In the latest operation that marks this terrible... why are they trying to target the Somali community? It's terrible. It's marking a significant shift in the federal government's approach in Minnesota. Following months of tension between the state and the Trump administration, the raids appear to be a direct result of a particular sweep for fraud targeting businesses that allegedly billed for care that was never provided. Vice President J.D. Vance, who was recently appointed as the administration's fraud czar, what a stupid name, took to social media to warn that the new federal task force will be relentless. I love it. I love that. I just hate the fact that he has to be the front of it. Why can't you get someone with a little bit of aura? And exposing those hiding behind fake child learning care centers and Medicaid-funded autism services. The political fallout in St. Paul is already very intense. Governor Tim Walz welcoming the raids while simultaneously calling for justice regarding the immigration surge that left 2 U.S. citizens dead earlier this winter. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? Walz has been on the defensive ever since the federal government froze nearly $250 million in Medicaid funding to Minnesota over these fraud concerns, but he praised Tuesday's joint effort as a sign that the state and federal agencies are finally sharing the critical data they need to root out the criminals. Yes. Okay, listen. In the Somali community, it's obviously sparked some mixed reactions, a mix of, not really mix of positive and negative, more like anxiety and anger. Legal representatives for several of the targeted centers argue that the sweep is a form of political retribution fueled by viral social media videos and what they call unsubstantiated claims of fraud. However, with federal prosecutors highlighting that over 90 people have already been charged in related schemes since 2021, the Department of Justice is signaling that this investigation is nowhere near finished. Listen, I hate the people who instantly throw out the racism angle. It is such a left-wing talking point, and it's an easy litmus test for how dedicated somebody is to left-wing-ism. You know what I mean? It's the same people that will ignore Trump's pedophilia while being ready for his third term that are the same. That's the same type of personality, except it's on the left where they'll go, why are you even talking about fraud? They've been stamping it out in the state since over the 2010s, and now just because somebody talks about it, and why are you bringing up the Somali community? Why are you bringing up 89% of the crime committers are of that community? Why are you even mentioning it? Enough. If you disagree with what Tim Walz or his cabinet is doing or how they've run the state, are you some, gun lover? Are you gonna live up in the woods? You're disgusting. There's no room for nuance in this debate. Folks, listen. If there is any pushback from anybody in your life, I question their motives. I think that they're sort of the people that don't even know where they sit on the political spectrum. They just sort of go with the tide of whatever is going to get them the biggest house in most instances. Hey, I'm not trying to call anybody's motives insincere. You know what? Let's look at a couple of these clips of federal agents. They're carrying out raids, and they're bringing out the boxes, they're loading up their vans, and it looks like the Diddy raid, except they just replace the bottles with stacks and stacks of paper.
More than 20 sites between child care centers and autism services providers are currently being raided across the Twin Cities metro, and we just learned it's not just the feds, but also state and local investigators that are behind this as well. I'm at the original child care center in Midtown Phillips neighborhood of Minneapolis, just about a block west of the hospital. And for hours now, we've been watching as federal agents come in and out of this building. And just minutes ago, we heard from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who said these raids are a partnership between state and local investigators. And Walz says these came after DHS and Minnesota Department of Youth, Children, and Families caught irregular behavior at these 20-plus sites and reported it.
Oh, they caught them.
Said in a statement that the American taxpayers deserve to know how their money was abused, and added they will leave no stone unturned in this investigation.
I like how now everybody's so concerned about the daycare centers and autism care specifically. Beforehand, actually, a lot of people, they didn't realize how bad it had gotten after COVID. A lot of people didn't realize that the problem had exploded because Tim Walz wanted to make it easier to pass out money to an extent. I exaggerate, obviously, for the sake of comedy. But it's functional, and it's real, and it works, and I'm not going to take it back on what I said. A little bit more. What other details do we have? This person is on the ground in Shakopee, Minnesota. Here is one of... now the list has grown to 22 as of recent.
FBI agents behind me here in Shakopee at the Universal Child Care Center are moving evidence out of the Child Care Center as they execute a search warrant. This is one of 22 search warrants being executed across the Twin Cities metro today as part of a widespread fraud investigation. I have addresses of 10 different child care centers. This is one of them here at a shopping center in Shakopee, Universal Child Care Center. They've also raided 5 autism centers and at least 7 other businesses as well.
Not enough.
This is part of the widespread fraud investigation ongoing in the state of Minnesota.
They've got a lot more.
Focus on child care centers came after a viral video a few months ago by YouTuber Nick Shirley. And there have been investigations into Medicaid fraud as well. The child care centers receive funding through something called CCAP, which is Child Care Assistance Money. This particular fraud investigation is in regard to that. I'll have lots more coming up today. I'm Lou Ragoose. Follow for more news.
Lou Ragoose, thank you for keeping us posted. This Nick Shirley kid that a lot of people tried to disregard, they were like, you're a fucking creep for trying to ask a daycare if you can get a flyer or something like that. You're a fucking, why are you even trying to walk up to a daycare in the middle of the day? What? Yeah, have you ever heard of a daycare with a front desk? That's disgusting. Like, it's people that have just absolute nonsense arguments that put, it's like Governor Gavin Newsom even had the audacity to tweet this shit out. It's absolute. It's robots. They take the programming of whatever the left-wing talking point is, and not to say that left-wing people are the only ones to do it. The Trump org, as we've called it before, that entire hive mind that he has is proof enough that it is not a left or right issue. It's a retard issue. It's a retard who cannot think for themselves issue, who is just one to go, oh, what is my side saying? What is my side saying? Download the contents of the argument into my head, and then I'm going to be ready to take down any retard right-wing person, or I'm going to be ready to take down any libtard loser. It's absolute fucking losers who buy into the left-right divide bullshit. They don't realize that it's all Israel programming. It's all, I love going to that point. It's all Israel programming. They don't even realize it. They'll catch up to it eventually. They'll find out. It's fine. It's not their fault, ladies and gentlemen. We can't blame people for their level of ignorance around their own society or how it works. It's okay. They weren't raised to understand it. They were raised with the mythologized version you're taught in American schools. They were raised with the version that demonizes their own country to some extent. They were raised with the ideals that honestly make them a chaotic mess that only gets ready to fight their neighbor, whether or not they buy into this person's propaganda or this person's propaganda. Are you buying the MLK propaganda, or are you buying the what's it called, the Confederate propaganda? It's up to you which level of propaganda you want to buy into until you're ready to actually dive into history. When you start diving into history, when you start researching, when you start reading things for yourself, when you start drawing your own conclusions, when you stop going to another person and saying, tell me the boiled down version of history, once you start creating your own timeline in your head and you start putting the pieces together, everything becomes so much clearer, and it becomes obvious to you that the only thing that school ever got you ready to do was to fight with your neighbor. And it's a tough realization for a lot of people. A lot of people will never make it in their lives, unfortunately. Listen, it's not a generational divide. It's not a thing where Gen Z is more awake than other generations. They love to pretend that they are. They love to go like, we're the Nick Fuentes generation. They don't realize that they're being misled by some queer. They don't realize their right-wing masculine hero is this fucking drag queen, like, who you can find a video of him on a date with some fucking twink back in, I think it was however many years ago. It was the happiest he ever looked on camera. Like, it's all bull honky. It's all bull honky. Half of these people on MSNBC own fracking. You know what I mean? Like, these people are absolute frauds. They're absolute frauds, and they just want you to buy Don Lemon's next expose. They want you to listen to, what's it called? Unfiltered with Bill O'Reilly or some shit. I don't know. I'm making things up at this point. We have to talk about another excellent goy show that is being performed right now, the California governor debate. Key moments that we have to cover: the second high-stakes showdown, the race to lead the world's fourth largest economy, reaching a boiling point last night as the 8 candidates took the stage at Pomona College, I believe it is, for their second televised debate. Let's cover it. Go. With just 5 weeks until the June 2nd primary. The hell am I doing? I already fucked it up. We literally just got done with the victorious transition sound, and I already fucked up the date. June 2nd primary. There we go. The gloves came off over California's affordability crisis. Republican frontrunner and former Fox News host Steve Hilton learned the hell am I doing? What am I doing? This teleprompter shit isn't even working. I need a chip. I need a chip in my brain. I need to go to Elon. He leaned into his Califortable slogan. That is a horrible slogan, promising to slash utility costs while Riverside County County Sheriff candidate Chad Bianco took a hard line blaming decades of one-party rule for driving residents out of the state. Not even wrong inherently. It is an issue of one-party rule. You need a level of balance between both sides but regardless of the fact that both sides is sort of this thing that's designed to keep you from actually making progress in the world, you need ideas from contrasting minds. That's the only way that you're ever going to make any new revelations. That's the only way you're going to think outside the Saturn box. It's the only way. The Democratic field, led by billionaire Tom Steyer and former HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra, I believe, Becerra, they all spent much of the night sparring over skyrocketing costs of living. Steyer pointed the finger at the war in Iran and federal policies for record-high gas prices, while Becerra floated the controversial plan to freeze home insurance rates to prevent providers from fleeing the state. For any freeze that I'm hearing about, to freeze this economy, freeze the rent, freeze the homeowners insurance, freeze this. Putting an absolute freeze on any economy while the entirety of the world proceeds to move around your frozen town or city, I don't know. It doesn't sound viable. It doesn't sound like I don't think that anybody plans for what we're going to do when we unfreeze it, when we return from the Ice Age, whatever. San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, M-A-H-A-N, distinguished himself by pledging to suspend the state's gas tax entirely, calling it a regressive burden on working-class families. Everybody needs to drive, and not just families. You know what I mean? It's spun out geeks in 7-Eleven parking lots. It's losers, quite frankly. Everybody needs to drive. Housing emerged as the night's most heated battleground. State Superintendent Tony Thurmond made headlines by promising to build 2 million housing units using surplus school district property. I don't know. Well, Katie Porter, big fatty. I love her. She's my favorite. Big fat. She's Ozempic'd it up as of late, so she's really trimmed down, but she still has witchy big fat face, and I love it. She's moon pie face. And Antonio Villaraigosa pushed for massive down payment assistance programs for first-time buyers. The debate took a personal turn when Becerra took a jab at Hilton's close ties to the Trump administration, prompting Hilton to fire back at such petty politics are exactly why the state is struggling. As the 90-minute scrum concluded, new polls showed the staggering 26% of likely voters remained undecided. Are you serious? The mail-in ballots set to arrive in mailboxes in just over a week. Last night's showdown was a high-stakes scramble for momentum in a jungle primary, where the only top two finishers move on for a state bracing for an uncertain economic future. The debate offered plenty of fireworks, but left voters with a starkly divided choice on how to fix a California dream. Let's look at the clips from it. Let's look at Katie Porter and her big fat ugly face. Listen, the reason that I go so hard on her is because she is a ruthless, mean, horrible bitch. She is who is the teacher from Harry Potter everybody likes that I actually love? Dolores Umbridge. She is a Dolores Umbridge type, and Dolores's, I've learned this, only thrive off of hatred. So I actually am a deep down supporter of Katie Porter, and I know that she thrives off of hate. So every time that I cast a spell by calling her a big fat ugly whore, it actually empowers her to go further. It actually makes her stronger. You don't even realize it, but she thrives off of hatred. She thrives off of anger. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where they stand on forced treatment for people who refuse paths to housing. This was a big one because a lot of them. This was the California crew, obviously, where it's going to be the bleeding hearts. You're going to have to deal with a lot of people on college campuses playing hacky sack, even though college is unaffordable. It's so unaffordable that you can barely afford a hacky sack. You're just using a bag of your baby teeth or something like that. Literally the only thing you can afford to actually make at home anymore. It's organic, you know what I mean? And you need natural fibers to make a bag. So there you go. You're gonna have to deal with the crowd of bleeding hearts that's like, man, I want to live with the homeless. I want their fentanyl dealers to live 50 feet from the school, because what if the kids want to get into helping the people that are on the streets? What if they want to bring them sandwiches at lunch and shit like that? It's okay. Let's hear exactly what their arguments were. Go.
Yes or no, would you as governor support a plan to mandate those who repeatedly refuse offers for a pathway out of homelessness be forced into a treatment facility? Mr. Vier.
By the way, easiest question maybe ever. Yes. Yes. Easy.
Barbosa, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Ms. Porter.
Only with safeguards and protections.
Only with safeguards and protections. Listen, she needs to settle down. Her mannish demeanor is not coming across very nice. She is the manliest one on that stage.
Yes.
Ms. Porter.
Only with safeguards and protections.
Yes. Mr. Becerra.
Yes.
Mr. Hilton.
Yes.
Mr. Steyer.
Yes.
Mr. Bianco.
Only mental.
And Mr. Thurman.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Bad answer. Only mental. You are mental. Excuse you. Based on the way that you cut your fucking mustache, Mister. You're the sheriff that I almost endorsed last episode. Why? Listen. I didn't know much about Chad Bianco, so like I was like, hey, he's standing up to that big fat ugly bitch. So I actually enjoy his personality, but now he's like on the same page where he's like only mental, whatever. Chad Bianco, speaking of which, and Katie Porter sparred during a discussion about insurance costs in California. I'm going to address something that I really need female politicians to knock it off with, because ever since Kamala Harris did it, they've thought that it's a fun, cool move to pull on people. It only makes you look whiny. It makes you look like you're not a serious candidate. It makes you look weak, and it's exactly why Kamala lost. It's this kind of, hey, I am the woman. I'm going to speak gently. I'm speaking. Anytime those two words come out of your mouth, everybody knows exactly what you're calling back to, and you look like a coattail rider. You look like you're calling back to a candidate who can't even manage to win her own election. She had to ride the coattails of Biden in order to even get near the White House. You're calling back to one of the biggest losers out of the 2020s and maybe the last 10 years, where that includes Hillary Clinton. I'm trying to say that it's just this weak argument that makes any woman candidate instantly sound less viable and like, oh, well, we got another Kamala Harris. There's another woman who thinks that she's gonna pop off and say something, sister, and I'm gonna make a Twitter moment, but really you just make yourself look silly. And if you do not believe me, listen to how this plays when she tries to do it. Katie Porter, in her classically uninhabited face, just her absolute hollow expression of what a human being should be. Here we go. Let's get this display.
Yeah, just to summarize the squabbling for everybody, what he wants to do is unconstitutional. What he's proposing is a good idea, but was already done. We don't want more people on the FAIR plan because it's a financial liability for the state of California.
It's single payer. You want it somewhere else.
Excuse me.
Single payer.
I'm speaking.
I know you are.
He's talking.
And we're lying to kids.
We'll go to you next.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I was even up here anymore. Neither were any.
Give me a minute and you will get your
May I finish? The reinsurance is a really important part of this, thinking about how to insure the insurers. There are ways that we could put California state dollars
insurers
play to bring down the cost of reinsurance, which would help more people come back into this market and write more affordable policies.
Thank you, Ms.
She's like a head injury patient. She's got this weird wide-eyed stare, this very puckered lips, her very just sour-looking face. She's just an absolute puss. And I cannot wait to see her jobless and living on her vineyard, like I assume most California politicians will end out their career.
Now, to your point, Mr. Bianco, Ms. Porter has supported single-payer health care insurance, and you are saying that this is essentially the same thing. Can you elaborate on your concern, and then, frankly, chime in on what you think these plans will do to the insurance market?
Yeah, I was walking in here tonight, and I was asked the most strange question ever by a CBS reporter that said, "Are you afraid of tonight?" And my answer was, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm truly not. But actually, I'm terrified that one of these people are going to be your next governor, and these kids are all going to have to move. This is absolutely ridiculous. We're lying to we're not taking responsibility for failed Democrat policies that have brought us here. The FAIR plan is 100% a single payer, and it is a failure. absolute failure. So we're not going to medical because it's the same thing.
Your time's up, boy. Yeah, did he not know what the ding meant? God, Jesus. Why does he got to go over his time? Very fun that, California, regardless of how many issues that they have, they still somehow manage to always be the centerpiece of our nation. Maybe because of the economy. I'll give them that. They're impressive on that front. It doesn't sound like very many people are thriving when it comes to a certain percentile. Like if you don't make a certain level of money in most of the state, it doesn't seem like people are very joyous or happy to be there. Quite frankly, the Golden State, the feeling of ocean waves, the views. I think that most of that in people's minds is a little overrated at this point. I'm actually kind of happy with the scorching summers, the terrible winters, the mosquitoes. Actually, they're getting less bad because of global warming every year. Maybe the Midwest ain't so bad, ladies and gentlemen. Plus, we don't have to deal with Scientology. Speaking of which, the rapid fire section of today's headlines, let's talk about all of the celebrities at Scientology's latest celebration of L. Ron Hubbard's birthday, 2026. We got a ton of people who attended, as to be expected. John Travolta, Elizabeth Moss, Dougie Fresh, Tom Cruise. Lots of names, ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate the birthday of L. Ron Hubbard, famous associate of Aleister Crowley, Jack Parsons of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory at NASA. You can look it up. Whatever.
2026 L. Ron Hubbard birthday party pictures just dropped, and guess who is front row again this year? Of course, that's Lizzie Moss, front and center, like she is at like every Scientology event now. I really wish that more people would ask Elizabeth Moss about Scientology during interviews, appearances.
God, that'd be fun.
John Travolta is right by her again. I think that Scientology likes to have their biggest celebrities in the front row for these photo shoots. And this year, Timothy Cruise is back. I think last year he was in England for a lot of these events, but this year he's with John Travolta and Lizzie Moss. Jenna and Bodie Elfman must have a lot of Scientology social capital because they are always front row at these events and they're often hosting. But this year, Dougie Fresh has been promoted to the front row at L. Ron Hubbard's birthday party. According to Tony Ortega's Substack, The Underground Bunker, Grant and Elena Cardone were sitting next to Dougie Fresh and the Elfmans, although I couldn't really see them in these pictures. But Grant and Elena have been collaborating with Dougie Fresh a lot lately, so that doesn't surprise me. YouTube grifter Dr. Eric Berg was hiding in the second row, but he was captured in some of these pictures. And I couldn't see him in these, but Tony Ortega says that Jason Dohring from Veronica Mars was right near Dr. Eric Berg. And then circled here, we see Rebecca Minkoff's dad, Dr. David Minkoff. I don't see Rebecca in the audience, so maybe she couldn't make it. The most disturbing thing about this event, though, is not the celebrities that are in attendance. It's the fact that Scientology is now focusing on children's materials as their next grift, really, for the cults. There are a few common reasons why cults end or fall apart, and one of those reasons is when they fail to recruit the next generation, and Scientology has had a huge issue with that because of the internet and people like me making videos about them and telling the truth about their abuses. And of course, all the second and third generation ex-Scientologists that bravely share their stories. So this golden age for the new generation of children's books and children's courses is extremely upsetting to me, and I highly recommend you follow Liz Gale and watch some of her videos about it, because Scientology is not for kids. I mean, it's not for anyone. It's abusive all around, but it's like especially not for children.
Yeah, I think we get that.
You don't think any of this is free, do you? No. All of this costs a ton of money. So it's just another way to extort money from parents. 2026 L. Ron.
Body, Mind, and Theatin is one of their books that they're promulgating to children, where it's going to teach them about the spirit that exists, the eternal spirit within them that eventually will they will realize that their body is made up of a bunch more of these types of people, aware and conscious. But then eventually, once you realize, I think it's OT8, that you actually, all of your original memories that you thought you had, those were actually all your body thetans. You don't even know who you are. Now you don't know who you are. It's time to discover who you were ready and always were to become, or whatever. It's a very like kind of mystical. The goal always keeps walking back. As long as you just keep spending another 5,000, you'll be inching closer to the line. That's exactly how most of these types of things work. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to join my church of Apocryphology has announced our first congregation is every Monday. We're going to have a sermon every Monday. We're going to be registered as a nonprofit, despite the fact that we're taking in millions of money that is donated, quite frankly. So what are we supposed to do? It's donated by our congregation. So anyways, environmental toxins and climate change may be harming fertility in both males and females, a new study has found. Who could have guessed? I mean, microplastics in the sperm. How silly is life going to get before we eventually have to call it quits? I think that we're nearing a time that maybe our level of humanity is done. I think that our level of humanity may be at an end. And by our level of humanity, I think that like maybe the next few generations are going to look kind of different from us. And then again, if you look at pictures of people from the 1860s, do humans really look like that anymore? No, not really. There's a lot more fat people walking around. There's a lot more elongated spinal cords. There's a lot more weirdly shaped kind of bodies. And you walk around a Walmart nowadays and there are people who already look like aliens. There are long necks. There are people with no chins. There are people that are they're absolute blobs that walk around. You're like, do you even have a skeletal structure? There's absolute monsters that they look like Resident Evil creatures walking around your Walmart not too far from where you live. This is just a fact of life. And I think that the fact that we are all ingesting microplastics, I don't remember how much it is a week, but like the fact that all of this is interacting with our DNA some, I think that we are not going to look, we're fundamentally going to look different than we do now. As we keep ingesting the things that we keep putting into the environment, we're going to look different. I think this may be how the aliens come back in time and look so different to us, is it's actually us from the future. We just have been eating a diet of like fish with plastic in it, mercury. We've been eating cow that's been printed in a laboratory. It's not real. We're eating non-dairy cheese. We're eating like stuff where there's barely any like all of the microbiome stuff that you're supposed to get for your stomach. We take that in pills now. So everything's manufactured, processed. It's just junk. And humans are going to look bizarre in the future. We're going to look kind of alien is how I think. We're going to have deposits of iron that are just going to make our bone structure look different. We're going to have probably larger heads. We're going to have different shaped eyes to take in maybe different spectrums of light. I can't even guarantee that next generation humans are going to look very similar to what we looked like, say, even 40 years ago, 20 years ago. I don't know. I'm just going to, let's listen.
Suggests that environmental toxins plus the climate may be impacting fertility in both males and females. The review, led by Oregon State University, found that exposure to certain chemicals, often found in plastics, reduce fertility across species when combined with the impacts of climate change. Previous studies have found human fertility has declined by more than 50% over the last 4 decades. New research...
50% over the last 4 decades. What is that even? I don't even have a thing I can compare that to. Maybe like support for transgenders over the last few years. Maybe that is a comparable decrease. By the way, if you don't agree with that estimate, when it comes to the support for transitioning people of the age of 9 or allowing kids to, dress differently or go by different pronouns, all that stuff is kind of being walked back. If you don't even see it, it's being pushed back now in mainstream interviews. David Cross, for God's sakes. David Cross, a comedian, right? People have probably heard of him. I think he has a few comedy albums. I'm not familiar with his early work. I know him from a few things. Mostly, I think he featured in a Community episode where he played the son of... Who was the cop? Who was he? A cop in Breaking Bad? I don't remember. Mike. Was it Mike from Breaking Bad? He plays a professor in season 5, and David Cross plays his son in the second Dungeons & Dragons episode of Community. It doesn't matter. David Cross, he's a comedian. If you know him from the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies, so be it. But he was on the Bill Maher show recently. Bill Maher, fascinating Israeli. He's half Jewish, kind of Jewish. He's a little Jewish. Lover of the Israeli people and the Israeli government. That he is. He, unfortunately, did make a great point about how the transgender issue is changing in a lot of people's minds, and he rightfully, in my opinion, left David Cross a little speechless. David Cross brought up this anecdote in his life of a person where he knew a transgender child of around, I think he mentions the age of 11 or so. Immediately you hear that. If you're a common sense thinking person, you go, that's under the age of 18. I don't know that that's the greatest of ideas. Whatever. I will let you actually hear the clip for yourself so you don't have to take my word for it.
You need to be checked. People need to be checked.
I think they'll be...
Including your little girl.
Okay.
She needs to be checked. I don't know what...
Fuck that bitch. Fuck that little bitch with her black friends and trans friends and not even understanding. She doesn't know.
Wait, she has trans friends in 3rd grade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, they know they're trans in 3rd grade.
I knew one of her friends. I knew when he was a girl.
How old?
I think just turned 9. And
oh my God. That's younger than I thought.
And is just the coolest kid. I think...
Boy to girl, girl to boy?
Girl to boy.
Girl to boy, okay.
And she has another very close friend who's not in this school, but who's boy to girl at 3.
But girl to boy, I knew somebody who said to me, actually more than one person who said to me, a woman said, I was what they called a tomboy. If I was alive now and acted the way I did then, that's what they would have done to me.
Well, nobody's doing this to her.
They are.
Literally, nobody is doing this to her.
How old?
She is... or he is either 8 or I think 9.
Okay,
then someone is doing this to them. They're making the choice for the child that they're going to engage in the gender reassignment. That is what the adult is the decision maker, and a lot of people just like to shift the responsibility down. They like to go, it's not in my responsibility entirely who my children ends up being. It's actually only who up to their interpretation of who they are inside. Any emotion that they may feel that is conflictatory, if they feel maybe a little feminine, if they feel masculine, but it conflicts with their gender, maybe it's a girl who just needs to realize that she doesn't need to be Barbie in order to be a woman. Maybe it's a boy that needs to realize he doesn't need to be Arnold Schwarzenegger in order to be a boy. Maybe he needs to realize that he can just be what Frasier was. Maybe he needs to realize that he can just be whatever fucking, what's it called was? What's his name? Michael Jackson. He was always marrying chicks, and it's like, there's something there. There's something there. But he definitely was still marrying chicks, and he was a boy. He was a boy.
Somebody is doing something, because 8 or 9-year-olds
can't
do anything on their own.
No,
True.
They're buying them boys' clothes.
Yes, they're doing something.
They're doing something. They're doing.
Sure, yes, you're right. They're buying them boys' clothes.
And telling them you're a boy now.
No, they're not telling them. They're just agreeing with. They're like going.
They're agreeing with an 8-year-old because when has their judgment ever been off? At 8.
You knew you weren't gay, right?
That's completely different.
Yeah,
it's not different.
Very.
It is different.
No, it isn't.
Dramatically.
Okay. Good luck with President Vance.
Sexual attraction is dramatically different from who you are identity-wise. Identity-wise, when it comes to your sex, when you are above the age of 18. Bruce didn't decide that she was ready to become Caitlyn until she was like 50 something. And even beforehand, they were flirting with the idea. They were getting feminization surgeries. Everybody kind of had the idea that maybe he didn't feel like a he. And everybody kind of gets this sense. Listen, it takes a long-ass time, and eventually they bloom into a beautiful future governor candidate for the state of California. That's at least what will happen to Caitlyn Jenner and many people like her.
Because, as I always say to my woke friends, we voted for the same person. You're just why she lost. And this is a case of that.
Wait, what?
We voted for the same person.
Right.
You're just why she lost.
Yep.
Because America hears this, and they're going to go, Bill's right. 8-year-olds can't really make decisions on their own like this. That's what most people are going to say. And this is where the Democrats are, with David Cross living in Brooklyn, with Mandami Loving. And this is why we're going to vote for J.D. Vance.
I don't love the fact that J.D. Vance is probably going to be the next president, him or Rubio. I don't know. It's up in the park. We don't know. Let's talk about the next headline. We got another one. A harrowing video shows Iranian protesters singing before they were hanged. Listen, a smuggled video from inside the infamous Iranian prison captured the moment. 6 descendants, not the fucking Disney movie, Descendants, dissidents broke into song to defy the Islamic regime one last time before they were hanged. The 6 men were all executed for their alleged actions against the regime. They were seen standing in the courtyard at the notorious Ghazel Hazar prison, as they made their final stand with a song of resistance. Your rival stands before you now, hardened in the flame. I am the faith. I am revolt with belief. I take my stand. I've sworn my oath upon my blood. My tyrant's throne shall shatter. The men calmly sung. Weird. It's curious. It's an interesting... It's, I would have pulled out like a She Loves You, yeah. I know that they have 6 men instead of 4, but that means that you could probably harmonize better. Honestly, the 5th Beatle, now you can have 6. I'm just saying, this video, it's moving, I guess. These guys can barely harmonize. I'm sorry. I know I can't be their manager now, but I would have offered them a little advice. I'd have been like, okay, guys, cut. Come on, guys. We have Live Aid in 2 weeks. We need to lock in, guys. We need to lock in. Bahreem, you need to work on that high vocal. We need you to be leading the charge with this, because we got Bikram in the back leading the bass. You are up front. You need to be coming through with that angelic presence. We need to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I've heard first graders sing better. Come on, you guys. How am I supposed to make a boy band out of this? Maran Tufon. I mean... All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Let me just say it. It's tough being a Simon Cowell type. It's tough being someone with so much talent that they feel the need to, scout it out in other people for some odd reason. They can't just make their own music and be inherently talented. They have to prop up other... I have to make up my own direction. My own direction. It's not One Direction, own direction. That's what we're going to call it at Me Records. These guys are not going to be it, obviously. I haven't heard back from them in a while. I actually don't know what happened to them. They just stopped answering my calls. But, it's them, or I have to sign this one kid, but he's apparently he's gone to jail. This kid that I was going to sign in Ocala, Florida, 2 teens arrested for driving a lawnmower into a Target. I thought that these 2 18-year-olds, they were going to be the future of pranks. They were going to be like the Jackass guys. They came to me. These two 18-year-olds in Ocala, Florida, they were arrested for disorderly conduct following a social media stunt that took place in multiple businesses. The teens, aiming for online virality, instead found themselves behind bars. The viewer provided video captured the incident that led to the arrests. Yannick Skradek, 18, drove a lawnmower through the front entrance of a Target store located on College Road. The vehicle reportedly smashed into the doors. The previous night, Skradek also used a leaf blower inside of a Culver's restaurant. He is now facing charges for criminal mischief and disorderly conduct. Luke Charsky, also 18, is facing charges for assisting Skradek with the stunts. Both individuals have been since released from jail. I have been on their phone trying. Listen, we had a 1-hour phone call last night, and I said, you dumbasses, couldn't we have worked something out with the management to where maybe you could have instead maybe brought in a cow? You could have done something fun, maybe, I don't know, you were dressed up as a farmer. We could have done some other bit where you didn't damage the property. But then these dumbasses have to go and get our Jackass reboot show and canceled by MTV. I was going to be the thing making MTV legit again. You're obviously not going to be able to see it. I'll put it in the description, but let's hear the video of this unruly. He said he was going to be the next Johnny Knoxville to me. Why did I believe him? Let's see him driving this lawnmower into a Target. Right past the red balls. He hits the door.
Were hoping to go viral online, but ended up behind bars instead. Yeah, a viewer provided us this video from the incident, which landed the two in jail. 18-year-old Yannick Skradek drove a lawnmower through a Target, and 18-year-old Luke Charsky recorded it. They smashed into the front door of this Target on College Road. They say the night before, Skradek also used a leaf blower inside Culver's. He's facing charges of criminal mischief and disorderly conduct. Charsky is facing charges for helping him out. Both have been released from jail.
Leave him be. We need to listen. I want to work out a contract. Let him go on some minor charges. He'll do community service. We need to get this reboot of Jackass off the ground. The network isn't going to work with him if he gets another charge. If he's on parole for something else, that we don't need that. We don't need that. Anyways, probation, excuse me. Taylor Swift is fighting back against AI by marking her voice. I don't know. I didn't know that she could do this. It's apparently a way to fight against people who are going to try to steal her likeness, people who are going to try to make, I don't know, AI porn of her or some shit like that. Her lawyers will be able to go, cease and desist.
This morning, the rise of AI looks to be making Taylor Swift take action to protect her voice.
Why do all of her music videos suck now? The Fate of Ophelia sucked.
The showgirl filing 3 new trademark applications late last week. 1 for this image, and 2 for her voice, particularly these phrases. Hey, it's Taylor Swift. Hey, it's Taylor.
By filing a trademark application that contains her voice, Taylor's lawyers could then make claims that anything that sounds like her voice is a violation of her trademark rights.
Swift is not the first superstar to take a stand against artificial intelligence. In January, Matthew McConaughey trademarking his likeness and voice, including his trademark phrase.
All right.
These actions from A-listers coming as the lines between AI and the entertainment industry get increasingly blurred. Earlier this month, a trailer for the new film As Deep as the Grave, giving us a first look at an AI-created performance from the late Val Kilmer.
Don't fear the dead, and don't fear me.
Filmmakers working with the support of Kilmer's family to create the AI likeness. But some AI creations have not been as embraced, like Tilly Norwood.
Tilly Norwood, 100% AI generated.
The AI-generated actress and singer releasing a single and music video.
What the fuck?
It's the key. And with advancements in the technology showing no signs of...
Why is Tilly Norwood's nose so chopped? I don't know why they made her so ugly for an AI. I understand they want to give her maybe a bit of a charm, maybe a bit of this she's a bit of a normal girl, so she has a bit of a normal look, but they made her look Sydney Sweeney level chopped. They made her look kind of like a girl that you would see that you'd go to a college with.
Going down, stars like Swift, now hoping trademark filings like these...
Stop playing this copyrighted music. I understand. You're trying to get me copyrighted. That's what you're trying to do. Anyways, Ladies and gentlemen, King Charles the Third spoke about the importance of checks and balances on executive power. I think it was in a direct target towards Trump. He drawed applause from the chamber. The U.S. Supreme Court Historical Society has calculated that the Magna Carta is cited in at least 160 Supreme Court cases since 1789, not least as the foundation of the principle that executive power is subject to checks and balances, he said. He said a lot, quite frankly. He made jokes about renovations to the White House, like burning it in 1814, which was fun. I enjoyed it. I don't think Donald Trump laughed because I don't think he got the reference. But whatever. Let's hear Max Foster break down how important this was for the country, really. Because if I'm being honest with you, it doesn't matter too terrible much to me. The UK has never been on my radar of places I want to live, travel to, or really associate myself with broadly. I know that I might have distant lineage there, but it's not worth contacting. I'm just being honest with you. But King Charles, this is an important thing for him and his image also over there.
King Charles actually achieved something pretty remarkable, I think, with his address to the joint session of Congress. A rare honour, only the second time a British monarch has been allowed to do so. And he talked about the weight of history being on his shoulders, knowing that if he got it wrong, it could have defined his reign in all the wrong ways. He was taking risks. He did go there with certain issues, which will be sensitive here at the White House, saying that actually, yes, Europe does rely on America, but also Europe does matter to the US.
Our defense, intelligence, and security ties are hardwired together through relationships measured not in years, but in decades.
Also, NATO really matters. Those post-World War institutions are crucial to world security and to the United States. Also pushing back on some criticisms that President Trump made about British troops in Afghanistan after 9/11. Actually, the King saying that was a classic example of the UK standing shoulder to shoulder with the United States.
We answered the call together, as our people have done so for more than a century, shoulder to shoulder through 2 world wars, the Cold War, Afghanistan, and moments that have defined our shared security.
He was often quite taken aback, I think, by the reaction in Congress, the positive, overwhelmingly positive reaction and multiple standing ovations from members of Congress. And perhaps that is the most remarkable achievement from that speech, because he managed to unite a famously divided Congress. And he did so by actually challenging America in many ways, by giving his world view. And I think Congress respected that. Perhaps he had some license to do that, because he does have an incredibly strong personal relationship with President Trump.
Well, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice that they have a very, very solid relationship between the two of them? Poly market is going after women, unfortunately. Prediction markets such as Kalshi, Poly market have a dude problem also. They are trying to woo women through matcha memes. They're trying to do get ready with me videos. They have too many men on their platform, and they want more women. And listen, in general, it's like girl betting is a real thing. I've heard about it. It's mostly around things in pop culture. It's mostly around things that they, in their personal interests, are able to bet. Like they have a knowledge around it that almost seems like Merlin-esque. They could look into the crystal ball and tell you what's going to happen in the future. But it's getting popular with women. Women are loving the betting tables, and I don't even bet them.
Recently, my Instagram feed has been haunted by women talking about how much they love betting on the weather, elections, and where Taylor Swift is going to get married. These are women-focused ads from prediction markets like Kalshi and Poly Market, which are platforms where people can bet on virtually anything, but in actuality have basically just become another place for men to bet on sports. Hi, I'm Nancy Wallachy. I'm an associate editor at The Atlantic. In the past 6 months, for instance, 88% of the trades on Kalshi have been about sports. This is a problem, though, especially because these platforms want to prove that they're everything platforms where people can financialize and bet on anything. And they also need women because they're 50% of the population. Poly Market has an X account.
They're actually a little more.
Traders called Poly Baddies. These are a combination of sponsored posts with influencers actual ads from the companies themselves, and then this kind of weird gray area of these girls that seem really excited about Polymarket and keep posting referral links to it, but aren't disclosed as partners. These companies, from what I can tell, tend to target women a little bit differently than they do men. So when they're advertising to men, it seems like they emphasize the risk involved, the fun of gambling, larger wagers. With women, they tend to emphasize small wagers, and it's true that women tend to make smaller wagers and gamble than men do. So that might be why so many of these ads are about coffee money. I mean, it's really astounding. It's like every ad is about purchasing caffeinated beverages with your winnings. Then there's also a lot of language around these platforms as a way to like girl boss. So there was one ad where it talked about, you know, this woman said, listen up, girly pops, like this isn't just for the finance bros, this is for us. One of the biggest concerns with these types of ads is that it's actually just really easy to forget that these are platforms where you can lose money. It does seem like women are starting to join some of these platforms. So Kalshi, for instance, told me that about 26% of its traders now are women, up from about 13% 10 months ago.
That's
Until
good.
These platforms really do become a part of everyday American life, which is their goal, they're going to just keep reminding women to make an account and do some girl math.
Girl math. Listen, I've known some women who go to the casino. I've known some women who love going and playing slot machines, even if it's at gas stations. I've known women who, I'm going to be honest with you, they go deep when it comes to the gambling. I've known men who, they sit and they play poker with their friends and whatnot. They play for a little chump change and whatnot in their shop where they do taxidermy and bullshit like that. And, you know, it's like $26 a pot or something like that. But, like, I've seen women who go to the jack tables, the blackjack tables, they'll throw 50 on a hand. Like, I've seen women who go deep. I'm sorry, I know that they just put out a stereotype that women don't bet very much. I've seen women who bet big, and I've seen women who win big. So listen, it's just, if you're good at bets, no matter what your gender, keep on keeping on with whatever makes you happy. I encourage people to do what works for them, ladies and gentlemen. FCC regulations reviewing Disney's license over the DEI practices one day after Trump called for Kimmel's firing. This will be our final story. I'm going to let you all go and enjoy your Wednesday, but let's talk about the Federal Communications Commission and their issues with Disney and Jimmy Kimmel. The FCC has launched a formal review of several broadcast licenses held by Disney, a move that comes amid intensifying scrutiny of the media giant's internal policies. The investigation is reportedly focused on the company's diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI practices, specifically whether they comply with federal regulations regarding public interest obligations. While the FCC has not yet issued a final ruling, the opening of this review marks a significant shift towards the regulatory environment for major entertainment conglomerates. The timing of the FCC's announcement has also drawn a lot of national attention. It's occurring just 24 hours after the public call for a firing of ABC late night host Jimmy Kimmel. During a recent media address, the president personally targeted Jimmy Kimmel, criticizing his content and calling on Disney-owned ABC to terminate his contract, while the FCC maintained that the license review is a separate matter based on long-standing regulatory standards. Critics and legal analysts are raising questions about the intersection of political rhetoric and the federal agency oversight. Like, really? This became just the most important thing on your guys' radar right after the president publicly called for him to maybe have his contract reviewed in the nicest of terms. In the hallways of Washington and Hollywood, the move is being viewed as a potential turning point for how the government interacts with media institutions, as though the last time wasn't the same situation. Folks, we're just watching the same movie. It's okay. Under current leadership, federal regulators have signaled a more aggressive stance towards corporate initiatives they believe may fall outside traditional business mandates. Disney has responded, stating it remains in full compliance with all federal laws and broadcast standards, expressing confidence that its licenses will be renewed following the standard review process. we're going to review it as it continues. But Melania, you know, she called on NBC to fire also Jimmy Kimmel. This is, I don't know if he's going to have a job after this, probably because they tend to stand by him and he makes some money for the market, certainly more than Stephen Colbert made for his employers.
We turned out Ed O'Keefe, who was at the White House. And let me talk to you about something that happened today with Jimmy Kimmel, ABC, Disney, and the... Catch us up.
Major, a day after the president called on ABC to fire its late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, the Federal Communications Commission announced that it is going to start reviewing 8 broadcasting licenses that are owned or managed by Disney. These are the 8 what we call owned and operated television stations that are essentially affiliates or local stations of the ABC television network. The FCC says they're concerned that Disney's corporate diversity policies may have violated anti-discrimination rules. We'll get to ABC's response in a second. This all stems, at least this latest round of concern between the White House and Disney, from something Jimmy Kimmel said last Thursday night. He published a video that showed him pretending to be the MC of the Correspondents' Dinner and made a joke suggesting that the First Lady had the glow of an expectant widow out of the fact that the president is someone who's older than she is. In the wake of what happened Saturday night at the Correspondents' Dinner, the First Lady said enough is enough. The president joined her in that yesterday, saying that he should be fired. Kimmel responded late last night.
It's just not a well-timed joke. That's it.
It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not, by any stretch of the definition, a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence.
Disney points out
it's true, but it's just like poorly timed because of the assassination attempt at the Correspondents' Dinner, and you doing a clip where you pretend to be the MC of it. Like, it's just sort of a you know the glow of an expectant widow. The assassination attempt happens at that event. It's just a weirdly timed thing. I don't think that he's authentically calling for any violence. I think it's just poorly timed. That's it. Might even make the joke funnier, honestly.
Up for review, because they are up for review every few years before the FCC, until 2028 at the earliest. In fact, between the years 2028 and 2031. So they're starting this process at least 2 years earlier than expected for a handful of the stations. And it says in a statement, ABC and its stations have a long record of operating in full compliance with FCC rules and serving their local communities with trusted news, emergency information, and public interest programming. We're confident that records demonstrate our continued qualifications as licensees under the Communications Act and the First Amendment.
Then I look forward to seeing Jimmy Kimmel live as per the usual next month. I expect him to be doing it a lot longer than this show. Never mind, I'm a lot younger than Jimmy Kimmel, and I'm going to be riding this out until the grave, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of which, I will be back at it again tomorrow to cover whatever news drops. I hope you had a wonderful time listening to this collection of stories, I had a wonderful time gathering them for you. I hope you had an even better time listening to them. I will catch you in tomorrow's episode to talk about whatever news happens to occur. We will break it down, we will sift through the wreckage, and we will make sense of whatever there happens to be. But folks, I've been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Air. Subscribe for more, like if you liked it, ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll catch you tomorrow. See you in the next broadcast, and bye-bye.